Have you ever wondered how the mighty Yadu dynasty of Lord Krishna, once considered invincible, came to its end? How did a seemingly small act of playful mockery become the cause of the destruction of an entire lineage? Let us listen to the divine Leela of the destruction of the Yadu dynasty, a deeply profound and mysterious episode from the sacred Shrimad Bhagavatam Gita. At that time, thousands of saints, sages, and great spiritual masters used to visit Dwarkapuri for the divine darshan of Lord Krishna. Many of them stayed there and immersed themselves in the nectar of his divine pastimes. One day, some young princes of the Yadu dynasty, among whom Samba was present, were amusing themselves in playful conversation. They were all youthful, energetic, and filled with excitement, and a mischievous idea arose in their minds. They thought, "Today, let us test these great sages and see whether they are truly seers of all three times, past, present, and future." Samba, the son of Mother Jambavati, was extraordinarily handsome and radiant. Lord Krishna himself had worshipped Lord Shiva and received Samba as a divine boon. And behold, the wondrous divine arrangement. The very Samba who was obtained through Lord Shiva's grace became the beginning of this destruction Leela. For destruction and dissolution are traditionally associated with Lord Mahadev. The young Yadava princes tied cloth around Samba's stomach in such a way that he appeared like a pregnant woman. They adorned him beautifully in the attire of a noble lady and took him before the sages. After offering respectful pranam, they said with laughter, "O revered sages, this is the daughter-in-law of our family, and she is pregnant. Kindly tell us whether she will give birth to a son or a daughter." The sages were Trikaldarshi, knowers of all three times. They immediately understood that they were being mocked. By the divine will of the Lord, anger arose within them, for Bhagavan himself desired this destruction Leela to unfold. It was by his divine wish that everyone's intellect had turned in this direction. The sages then said in a grave and powerful voice, "From her shall emerge that which will become the cause of the destruction of your entire lineage." Hearing this, all the young Yadavas were terrified. They immediately untied the cloth around Samba's stomach, but the moment the cloth was removed, everyone was stunned. From within emerged an iron mace, Musal. Filled with fear and shame, they all went to Maharaj Ugrasena and narrated the entire incident. Maharaj Ugrasena said, "No one can avert the curse of great sages. Yet, do one thing. Grind this iron mace into fine powder and cast it into the sea." Then, the mace was ground into fine powder and thrown into the ocean. However, one small piece of iron, like a nail, remained. That small iron piece was swallowed by a fish. Later, the fish was caught by a fisherman. Eventually, that iron piece came into the hands of a hunter. The hunter fixed that very piece of iron onto the tip of his arrow. Meanwhile, the powdered remains of the mace that had been thrown into the sea washed ashore and grew into erica grass. Time passed. One day, the Yadavas became intoxicated. By the curse of the sages and by the will of the Lord, a terrible conflict arose among them. In anger, they began uprooting the same erica grass and hurling it at one another. But it was no ordinary grass. It had become as hard and sharp as swords and thunderbolts. The Yadavas began destroying one another. Before long, the entire Yadu dynasty was annihilated in mutual conflict. And in the end, that same iron piece, fixed to the hunter's arrow, struck the divine lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Thus, the Lord's earthly Leela came to its conclusion, and he departed for his eternal divine abode. This Leela reminds us that whatever begins must end. Even Lord Shri Krishna, after coming to earth, completed his Leela and departed. Where there is birth, there is death. So we must always do good deeds, chant divine name, because one day we will be answerable for our karma.